for Dusty, like Mindy was cleaning like the house, and we have a Blu-ray player underneath the TV in the bedroom, and she swiped the closest part to like us, and it was like black, and I was like, oh shit, I thought that was gray.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
That's what happens over there. That's why I dust it all the time.
Bad microphone etiquette. Okay. Oh yeah, get it right in there. Make everybody feel like they're here.
If somebody listening to this doesn't like the sound of a can cracking open, they can fuck off.
Yeah, we'll turn it into an ASMR podcast where we just crack bottles. I got this one that I can open up so we can go. So that's it for the ASMR section of the show. But Keely, welcome to This Just In, the podcast that sounds like a new show, but it isn't a new show except for one time a month when I do my monthly recaps.
Hi, Justin.
So how are you doing today?
I'm good. I like to be cracking a beverage at 12:30.
You know, I feel like it's the best way to spend a day off.
It is.
It extends the day. It's like I'm a big fan. I mean, I think I brought it up on every single podcast in the last like 3 weeks, but I'm a big fan of On It Alpha Brain. And I feel like that does kind of the same thing as a little bit of liquid courage. Like it, makes things a little clearer, at least for the initial few drinks.
Until your white girl wasted kicks in.
Yeah, but with these amazing Truly lemonades.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor, but open to offers. With these, I can drink these, and I never get ridiculously plastered, and I can like steadily drink them all day. So it's like the perfect daytime drinking like tool, if you will.
I feel like I've seen you ridiculously plastered, but I'm trying to remember what you were drinking.
Whiskey. No, vodka. And what you're probably thinking of is you're probably thinking of the time. We're going to go ahead and make this public now. So there is a time, me and Keely have been friends for a while, and there was a time probably 3 years ago, and it's been that long because Nathan was still here.
Oh yeah, it feels like yesterday.
Yeah. I found a local distillery who makes fantastic vodka. And I learned that I can drink an entire bottle, 750 milliliters of vodka with no problem, like no taste issues whatsoever, cutting it with one of these bad boys. Actually, I'd cut it with 1.5 of these. So I'd be able to spread it out, but you get ridiculously hammered, and it goes down so smoothly. One thing leads to another. I get in a fight with the wife. She leaves me here. I continue to drink because that's what you do when you are fighting with a spouse, and
they leave you,
and they leave you here
at your friend's house,
and I don't remember everything, but I've been told that I was found crying on the bathroom floor, listening to my good friend Joe Rogan's podcast. And, in all honesty, it's probably the birthplace of this podcast because of the drunken listening and crying to the one and only Joe Rogan.
I wish I could remember which episode you were listening to, because I think that might provide some, like, where your mental state was. But, yeah, you did that.
I
didn't remember that you were drinking vodka when you did it, because also the rest of us were extremely wasted. Yeah,
that's per usual. This is the go-to fight night party place, I guess you'd say. Yeah. And so we watch fights, and we, get a little, white girl wasted.
Yeah, this was pre-white girl wasted.
I mean, I was still white girl wasted, but it was before the mass production of the drinks.
Before the official cocktail of white girl wasted.
Yeah.
Well, really, there was an official cocktail. You're younger than me, but it was, what did they drink in Sex and the City? Cosmopolitans.
Oh.
Those were the first white girl wasted.
Aren't those like pink?
they're pink and they come in like a martini glass, and they're no joke. They sound like, they look all pretty and they sound like, but there's a bunch of booze in those things.
I'm wondering what's in a Cosmo.
I don't know.
Politan.
But they drink them all the time on Sex and the City.
I wonder if they're even delicious. Let's see what we got here.
I don't remember them being very good.
So we got, it's 1 1/2 ounce vodka citron, 1/2 ounce of what is up with all these French ingredients?
I don't know. Cointreau?
Cointreau, 1 ounce cranberry juice, and then 1/2 ounce of fresh lime juice.
Well, one of these days you can try to get white girl wasted on a Cosmo.
Old school white girl wasted.
Like me. Yeah.
Original white girl wasted.
The OG of white girl wasted.
OG white girl wasted.
Yeah. But before that, before Truly's, there were Cosmos.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of the Trulies, the White Claws. I feel like I can drink them all day and have I can't say that I have zero effect, but I'd say it's minimal effect. It gets me like, socially lubricated, and because I was a born introvert that made myself become an extrovert.
You're an introvert naturally?
Yeah, I was a kid from Tacoma, Washington, who only really hung out with his family. Didn't go to school until 5th grade.
Oh yeah, the Mormons.
and so yeah, I was extremely introverted. And when I went to school, I was 10 years old, and I knew that I knew that what I had going for me wasn't gonna be like good enough. And I was like, I need to figure out how to like project. I need to like start like acting out. And so I became like the class clown of my just to get out of the cage. And it was super foreign to me, because I mean, obviously I liked being funny, but it was, I'm funny around my family, and I'm funny around the kids at church, and I'm funny at my piano lessons. Like, it's really different when you're going from being surrounded by people who have to love you because you're related to them and going to around kids that, man, kids are fucking mean. Yeah, like, very. Kids are assholes. And so like I was like, well, I'm not going to be this quiet kid. I'm going to be extra. And like that's where the personality really like took hold. And it is because I was born introverted and had to like force out. And so, it started then, and then when I found alcohol, it became so much easier. Yeah. at the bright young age of 14.
Lush.
Yeah.
I was introverted as a kid, super shy, very bashful. Like, cried the first day of school every year until like 8th grade because I wanted to stay home with my mom. And then when I got to high school, I don't know, people around me might feel differently, but when I got to high school, I discovered boys, and sort of boys discovered me and like paid attention to me. And so then I became more social and outgoing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alcohol makes it easier though.
Yeah. I didn't discover alcohol till like college.
Oh, a late bloomer.
Yeah, I mean, there was booze at parties when I was in high school, but I was a goody two-shoes. I came home at curfew. I didn't really drink. My friends drank, and I drove them home, and I would like call my parents and say, hey, Angie got drunk, but her curfew's 11, and mine's 10:30, and we live in the sticks, so can I stay out till I'll drop her off at 11 and come home?
I never got to use that because I wasn't allowed to get my license until I was 18.
Like, allowed by your mom?
Yeah. And she'd threatened to call the police on me because I would routinely take vehicles out for learning to drive. Nobody was teaching me. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Sure.
Nobody would teach me, so I had to teach myself. And so,
And so I stole things and drove them around.
I didn't steal other people's cars. It was always family members' cars.
Oh, because that's better.
Yeah. It's safe.
That's way better.
Yeah. So I couldn't drive until I was 18, but same thing. Like, I always had curfews, coming from a small town, There was actually, now that I think about it, there was actually a mandated minor curfew there. Like, if you're out past 11:45, I think it was, the cops. So like,
because teenagers can't get drunk before 11:45.
oh yeah, naturally.
Whatever. Well, they do not know the art of day drinking. That is, you appreciate day drinking more with age.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I remember the first time that I day drank though, and it was pretty freaking awesome. It was spring break 2008, and I was a freshman in college, and all of my friends were still seniors in high school. And so we went to Lake Havasu City. And so I wasn't the oldest. The oldest was actually Nathan's brother. He was with us. He was 2 years older than me. And so he was able to buy all of our alcohol. He was able to put like the deposit down on the boat that we rented. That was the same spring break that I got pulled over while driving a boat. And I have no idea why they were like, yeah, this kid's definitely sober. No idea. Like, they pulled us over because we had too many people on one side of the boat. And then they were like, you been drinking? I was like, I'm good. Literally. Like, I didn't even answer their question correctly. And they just said, have a good day, which, naturally, Lake Havasu City, they deal with it all the time.
Yeah. They were probably just grateful you were compliant and, like, not a jerk.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I'm like the most friendly person when it comes to alcohol, and except for whiskey. Like whiskey, I'll get a little rowdy. Like back in the day, me and my friends. So I was 21, and I would live with my mom for like 4 months out of the year, and then I would go live in different places and work. But in the times that I would come home, I had like a little core group of friends, and we would like drive up to Tucson on Wednesdays, I think it was, which was ladies' night at our favorite bar, the Cactus Moon, which is no longer with us. And we would just get so obliterated. And like we would always switch turns on who was designated drunk driver. It was 45 minutes away, and it was all highway, so it was fairly easy. And so you would stop your drinking at like 9 so that you're good to go by 2.
Oh my God. I'm only like, oh my God, because we've all had that like rationalization of, oh, well, Susie stopped drinking at 10 and now it's 2 and she was fucking hammered 4 hours ago, but now she's probably good to drive. She's
sobered up. Sobered up. It's been 4 hours. There's no way alcohol stays in your system that long.
No. I mean, she's only a little drunk. The rest of us are schmammered.
Yeah.
So.
And, like, we would go, like, last call would happen, we'd finish up, and, like, 3 out of 5 times I'd have whiskey because one of the times I'd be the driver, so I couldn't be super wasted. And then the other time is I just decided to stay away from whiskey. But on those 3 out of 5 times, I would always just like find some guy that I'm like, oh, this guy's a douchebag. And so I would like be an asshole. I would like walk past him, do a huge like shoulder check. And that was like the downfall of being the big guy, is that even when you're a dick, nobody says anything about it.
Yeah.
And so like I would be going out looking for like these huge scraps, and like nothing would happen to them. And like one time it was really bad, and it was actually the last time that I ever did it. Was we were walking out of the bar, and there was this dude, just huge tool looking guy, just
on spec.
Yeah, like I didn't see what he was driving, but I'm sure it was a lifted truck that had never been off road. Tucson, Arizona, that's the type of douchebag that you're dealing with in Tucson. It's different than the douchebag that you're dealing with in like Denver, who's like super crunchy granola and shit like that.
Yeah.
But like a bigger dude, but I was still, freshly dropping out of college football and all that good stuff. And when I say dropping out of college football, I mean I got the appointment to go for my walk-in or my walk-on practice, and then I just never showed up. But So it was only a few years after that, and I stayed pretty active. Like the people that I went out with were really big in working out and whatnot, and so we would work out
So
like
you were
every
so
day.
young and fit.
Yeah, and so we walk out. I see the target. I'm like, okay, this
The
guy's
target being the
douchebag. Yeah,
Okay.
and so I just go, hey James, give me a push. He's like, what? I was like, push me that way. So he pushes me, and I don't realize that on the other side of him, there's a girl.
Oops.
Moral of the story is she hit her head, and I got the hell out of there. She wasn't dead, so I was happy about that. But I wasn't gonna stay for any kind of anything else. But that's the last time that I was that full on douchebag where I went out looking for fights.
Well, it's funny that you use the word douchebag because I need to teach you a new wordish turn of phrase that I learned last weekend in Vegas.
Ooh.
With a couple girlfriends. This is called, you can imagine what a douchebag parade is.
Okay. I have a...
So it's like, we're like walking around. As soon as the word came up in this daily calendar thing, and we were all like, oh my gosh.
What's the name of the daily calendar? Because I think everybody needs to have a copy.
I don't know. Cammie got us some stuff. And there were like calendars from 2020 with the tearaway sheets, because we were supposed to have girls' weekend last year. But, the Rona.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we were just like opening them up and kind of looking, and like the second or third one on Jen said something about a douchebag parade and defined it. And then, like we're not even out of our hotel yet. Like an hour or two later, there's like a douchebag parade right there. There they go. Right. There's all different kinds of douchebag parades. So probably different in Tucson, right, than in Denver.
Yeah.
I take your point. But in Vegas, there's DB parades everywhere. They're everywhere. All the colors, all the religions, all the heights, all the ages. There was a DB parade at our pool. Like a bunch of 50-year-old dudes, clearly on a golf trip, right? All the Titleists and all the polos, and I don't know. They were dudes on like a golf weekend, but I don't care. They were clean cut white guys, all like 8 of them. DB parade.
I'm pretty sure that DB parade would also encapsulate what me and my friends were.
Yes, 100%. You were just a different kind.
Yeah,
of
we
DB
were
parade.
we were just annoyed with other kinds of douches. It was probably a lot of self-hatred, in all honesty.
Yeah, but it's like the plural of douchebag, right? Like geese are like a gaggle or whatever.
Yeah,
and DBs
and witches.
And witches are a gaggle.
Yeah, gaggle of witches.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I may have made that up.
I think that you did.
We'll keep talking.
Do the Googling. But yeah, a group of DBs out in the wild is a DB parade.
Ooh, a gaggle of witches.
A gaggle of witches? I thought they were like, I don't know, Wiccans or something. What's a Wiccan?
I think Wiccan is a type of witch.
Oh. I'm not really into this.
A group of witches to like the same cause is a coven.
Oh, that's the word I was thinking of. But that's not plural for witch.
No, it's kind of like it's their form of club.
Okay, it could also be called a witch parade then.
Yeah, technically.
Whatever.
Yeah,
you got to see DB parade. You're never going to forget that.
Yeah, douchebag parade.
And they are everywhere.
Oh yeah, I mean, even I think our good friend Jordan is a good example of like leading a douchebag parade.
Like the grand poobah. Sometimes, like at the bar, getting the pickle shots.
I mean it. I don't mean it in anything but love, Jordan.
Yeah, no, 100% Jordan. But he's like the good DB grand poobah grandmaster dude.
Yeah,
like
he's the greatest douchebag to ever have around.
Yeah,
ever.
Like not the dude that was on my plane coming home from Vegas, because there's always interesting people there. Dude is like in the first aisle seat of the first row, and not a flight attendant, not like an employee of the airline. He's got on, like, he's got flip-flops and shorts. He is typical Denver DB parade coming home. He probably had granola and, you know, I don't know, skim milk.
Probably wore Birkenstocks.
Yes. Okay. Then he's like
I think
everybody.
oat milk. Oat milk is the big thing right now.
Yeah, or soy milk or something stupid like that. And everybody that came on the plane, like when you came on, he was like right there. And he was like, hey, welcome to Southwest Airlines. We're going to Denver. Hi, how you doing? How's Vegas? Did you win any money? I mean, every person. The grandmaster.
That is so me.
Of grand poobahs, of head fuckheads in charge of DB parades was on my plane.
That is so me. I remember I was going out to North Carolina. I was like 23, and like I hate flying, and so I get a little bit more joking, like Lee, about everything because joking about things is how I deal with stress and whatnot. And we get on the flight. It's a late flight. There's not a lot of people, and I get on. There's like maybe 25 people, and I was like, who's ready to have some goddamn fun?
Oh my god.
I was like, you ready to have some fun? I'm ready to have some fun. We're gonna get a lot of drinks. Flight attendant, and they're like, we don't serve alcohol. I was like, that sucks.
Oh my gosh. That's like now. You can't get alcohol on a plane now. Because apparently the Rona like travels better with the alcohol or something.
But orange juice and water, it's fine.
Coke. You can do Coke, Diet Coke, at least Southwest. Coke, Diet Coke, and like, I don't know.
Coca-Cola for those of you listening.
Or there were 4 drinks. They had on their little, you had to say, in order to stop you from taking your mask off, they want you to say 1, 2, 3, or 4. And it was like Coke, Diet Coke, 7-Up, and water.
Okay.
But like you can't get beer or a cocktail. And you can't bring beer or a cocktail. You can't bring alcohol and drink it. Like in a shooter or whatever.
That's a bummer.
Like who doesn't prime the pump a little bit on their way to Las Vegas? This guy, because Southwest put the fucking 86 on it.
No, you should have done what I saw on Instagram the other day. Hand sanitizer bottles.
I'm just really thirsty.
Like I saw like an entire compilation of like girls at bars where they're like, and they just like douse it into their drink. And I was like,
that's pretty smart.
Crafty.
I just loaded up at the bar before the plane.
Yeah, that's my typical go-to.
Yeah. Just
a few doubles before the possible imminent demise.
Yeah. But it was definitely the most sober I've ever touched down in Vegas, excluding work trips, because I've had to go for work before.
Yeah. Even when I go places for work, I can't. I gotta have a little something in me.
Well, I mean, but like I would be on like a 9:00 flight, a.m. and have to be in a meeting at noon, so I couldn't like.
And
down some cocktails. Also, flying doesn't. I have zero nerves about flying.
Yeah,
no. I guess I have nerves a little bit about. I don't like to pee on a plane. Like,
are you afraid you're gonna get stuck in the?
No, I'm not like afraid. I just don't like it. You're like, I'm a small person, and it's like you can. I don't know. It's uncomfortable.
I have done multiple like cross country trips, like flying across the country, and luckily I've never had to like hit up a toozy, because just like relieving yourself number one style, man. Like it is. Yeah. I'm a big boy, and even peeing is like an Olympic sport. Like you get your leg up on the counter, and it's. They're very small.
They are small. I'm not surprised at that, but like, it's super small. And I just don't like peeing on a plane.
Yeah.
Also, oftentimes, I'm by myself, and like, I don't want to leave all my shit with like next to some stranger. I don't know. That just feels weird. And then like you get in there. So even if you took like your purse with you, like you get in there and you're like, my shoulders touch like both walls. Like it's super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So. I don't like to pee on a plane.
Yeah.
It's not a fun thing.
Yeah. It's the kind of podcast you guys are listening to. Talking about bowel movements.
You're talking about that. I'm talking about peeing.
Peeing is still technically a bowel movement, right? Your
I don't
bladder is part of your bowels.
I don't think so.
I think that your bladder is part of
I
the
don't know.
bowels. I'm not going to Google it because
Not
I don't
mine.
want to be proved wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say it counts.
You could be right, but mine's different.
Well, we kind of touched on growing up a little bit. Let's go ahead and go back and talk a little bit about the teenage years. So you said that
I was boring. Like,
Yeah, 'cause
good student.
yeah, you're a good student. You didn't do any drinking or anything like that. Like, when was the first time that you had a beer in college?
No,
Like,
I had beer, but
the first time that you had a decent amount of beer, I should say, in one
the first
sitting.
time I was hammered.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely college.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't even know that classes had started yet. Like, my parents left me at the dorm, and probably that night. Which was, like a week after my 18th birthday.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was definitely in college.
I was 14, and it was actually a kegger. It was a kegger. So, like, I'd had, like...
Who invited... Okay, just let me put this in context for you. In 4 years, are you going to be cool with Javon going to a kegger?
Well, yeah, because he's not my kid.
Oh, my gosh. I'm texting Tisha right now. Oh, my gosh.
I mean,
No.
it's...
No. Just say no. The right answer...
I mean,
no.
I'm never gonna buy the kid booze, but like, things are gonna happen. Like, I mean, granted, I can only talk from my experience. I was a rebellious Mormon-raised youth who wanted to do everything that he could to not be Mormon, and so hence the cigarettes, the drinking, the coming home at 11 p.m. curfews, drunk and having to try to explain to my mom why I'm eating a whole pie.
Oh, I get it. Okay, hold on.
There was one specific time, like, we got trashed, and we got trashed early on, like maybe like 6 is when we started, and we were at Denny's, which is one of the very few eating establishments that were open past 8 o'clock in our town, and we're at Denny's. I'm trying to sober up. And then we go to pay, and then the Denny's has that like dessert like station up where you pay.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, oh, that's a good pie. I want that pie. She's like, you want a piece of pie? I was like, no, I want the pie.
The whole pie.
She's like, there's a piece out of it. I was like, yeah, I'll still take it.
I'll take the rest of the pie.
And like, I get home, and my mom's like, oh, how was your night? I was like, oh, it's good. This pie is really good.
Yeah, no. I did in high school have a boyfriend that after we moved to Kansas, that he was a senior when I was a sophomore, which was my first year in Kansas. And he went to college at K-State, so I was a junior. And sometime in I don't know, I'd have to ask my parents, I guess. My junior or senior year, me and Tara, she had a boyfriend also. Anyway, I told my parents that I was staying the night at Tara's house. Tara told her parents that she was staying the night at my house. And I went to Manhattan to stay with Sean.
Manhattan, Kansas,
the Little Apple. But my parents, with the magic of the telephone, called Tara's mom and figured out that I wasn't there. Anyway, and woke my brother up at like midnight or whatever, and drove to Manhattan to find me. Luckily, they did not find me. But anyway, I'm pretty sure that night, it was all bad. But I know I drank when I was there. I think I was a senior. Anyway, I was like 16 or 17. I know I drank, but when that first like feeling of being drunk and like not being in control of your motor skills started to kick in, I like backed off.
Yeah.
Also, I was petrified of getting in trouble because I'd never really been in trouble, and I just totally knew I was going to get busted. It was not like the most brilliant genius plan, because all my parents had to do is pick up the telephone and call Barb. And Barb would say, no, Keely's not here. She should be at your house with Tara. So I know I drank, but I never got like, I didn't really love beer until college.
You know what? I never fell in love with beer. It always was just it's there.
Since I've known you, I've never, I mean, you drink it.
Yeah. Like it was there. And it was, I was like 16 when I found the beauty of Jack Daniels. And, because up until 16, like the drinking was like, it was all very mitigated, never really like hammered. It was always like, oh, hey, I'm at a friend's house and the friend's parents have a liquor cabinet. Mm-hmm. And so we would like try to make mixed drinks. We'd make the dumbest fucking mixed drinks. Like we did, what was our go-to? It was chocolate milk and vodka.
Oh, gross.
We called it a brown Russian.
Oh my God. That's so gross.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't good.
But, like, we never really did that. I didn't really ever do that. But beer and liquor was like always around. I mean, you met my parents, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was a little kid, I remember my dad drinking the banquet beer, and then I think then the Silver Bullet, and then Bud Light, and Bud Light was like a long time. Like all of my teenage years, but beer was always around. But like I also remember when Zane came home from the Marines one time, 2 years younger than me. Zane came home from the Marines one time, and he was like, I don't know, 19, 20, something. I was of age or really close to it. And we were outside in the backyard, and my dad was drinking, and Zane was like, I'm going to have a beer. And I was like, me too. And my dad was like, and I was like, Dad, I'm in college. I've had beers. And my dad goes, hey, Zane, why don't you split a beer with your sister? And I was like, I can drink my own beer. Like, and he's younger. I think I was 21 or really close. And my dad's like, why don't you just split one? Like,
because you know how tough those beers are.
Yeah. But do you remember the first time you had a drink of beer? When it tasted gross the first time?
Yeah, I was very young.
Yeah,
because
like
my mom was using it as a tool to keep me away from beer. Because what she would do, she would buy beer, and my mom has had, luckily she doesn't listen to this. She's had like not substance abuse, alcohol problems. Like not, okay. I mean, as far as I know, not anything more than that. I'm sure she
wanted to deter you.
Yeah, and my father's an alcoholic, like all that stuff, and so. Like when I was 7 or 8, like she would buy beers. And again, this is the story that she told me. I don't know if it's entirely true now because I realized that she like backslid when I was probably like 20. Mm-hmm. She would buy beers to kill slugs in the garden.
Like alcohol poisoning them?
I guess. I don't know.
Or just drowning them?
I'm guessing it's some kind of like chemical reaction that just doesn't do well with them because it worked. Like they would be dead like in a matter of minutes.
They can't like metabolize alcohol?
Something like that. And so I think she was like, here, have a sip. And then
it tasted gross.
It
right?
tasted horrible.
Yeah.
And it still tasted bad in like that 14, 15 range. It was when I was 16 that I like developed that like aversion to like the gag reflex of beer. And then I grew to enjoy it by the time I was like 18.
Yeah. I didn't figure out how to enjoy it until college.
Yeah, it was. So there's a good story. So I was 16. I was 16. I was a junior in high school. And I was friends with everybody that was senior. So like, they had, lived the life that I haven't yet. And one of my friends, I'll leave his name out of this. I think he actually listens. He's a good friend from back in the day. But he had gotten kicked out of the neighboring school. And he had come to my school. And
because he was a troublemaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he had we became friends because I was couldn't drive, so I always walked to school because I hated, like, if I took the bus, it would literally take me longer to get to school than if I walked.
Okay.
And so I would just walk to school. And so he'd seen me walking because he would come from the other town, and like my house was between not like all the way in the outskirts of the town, but it was like on the way from the town B over to town A's high school, where I got my beautiful education.
It's been great for you.
It has been great. And so he picked me up. He's like, "Hey, you need a ride?" I was like, "Yeah." And so we just became friends. And so he was also a Mormon kid that was super rebellious, and we kind of clicked, and we were like, "Let's throw a party." Like nobody's thrown a party out here in forever. I can't remember the last time somebody threw a party out in St. David, Arizona. And so we were like, "Fucking, let's do this thing." So we let everybody that wasn't Mormon and hated they were Mormon. No, we were like, "Hey, we're having a kegger out at Killer Hills." Nobody died at Killer Hills. It was just a place where like the hills were at like almost a 90-degree angle, and people take their off-road vehicles and go try to climb them. Nobody died. And we're like, we're gonna go ahead and have this big kegger at the bottom of Killer Hills. It's gonna
Who
be a good
bought
time.
the booze?
His uncle. So his dad had some old kegs in the shed that we found, and they were solid. Like they were good. So
They were good
like,
shells.
yeah. So we were like, fuck. All right. And so he called his uncle, and we drove it to his uncle, the Monday before the party. The night of the party, me and another friend go and pick it up in a Honda Del Sol. I don't know if you know a Honda Del Sol, but they are very tiny.
Yeah.
And we had to. Where
did you put the keg? Where did you put?
Well, we had the top off. We were rolling with the top off, but
to.
the top goes into the trunk.
Yeah.
And so when we went to go pick it up, we were like, "Well, shit, we don't have a back seat," and so we had to put the top back on. So like my head is touching the roof, and we have the keg loading down this Honda Del Sol in the back end, and we drive it from like a place between like Tucson and Benson, the neighboring town that he was from, and we picked it up and drove it out, got it to the Jeep, which was gonna take it out to the Killer Hills, and we get it out there. So we told everybody at my school that was cool. We told everybody at the neighboring school, and so it was like my first like introduction to like this whole other school that like I became infamous for like fighting people at their school, and I also like dated a couple girls there. I actually married a girl from the high school, but I didn't meet her. I didn't meet her at this time. I didn't meet her. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so we're having this huge blowout. Like everybody's having a good time. I'm learning the beauty of alcohol being like a social lubrication. I'm talking to the pretty girls. I'm having a good time. And then somebody says the cops are coming. So we're like, fuck, what are we going to do? Like, how do you hide a keg? Because they have reasonable cause. They can search any vehicle they want. So we can't put it in a vehicle. So we're like, well, we're in the middle of the desert.
Yeah,
let's go find a bush. And so we put it in a bush, and it was not hidden at all. Cops roll in. They park their cars at a point. So picture like a circle, and on one half of the circle, it's backed by the Killer Hills that go up. So it's kind of like a bowl shape on that side, and the other side totally open, but only one way in because of brush and things like that. And so the cop rolls in and parks right there and has a spotlight on, and it's pointed right at the keg, like right at it. Cop gets out. Obviously, we know the cops because
it's
my town is a town of 2,000 people. The neighboring town is 5,000. So, everybody pretty much knows everybody. And so the cops are there. They're, my neighbor / church leader is one of the cops. And he's like, "What are you doing out here, Latham?" And I'm like, just, having a good Friday night or Saturday night, whatever it was. And, like small towns, they do things a little differently. They don't do the breathalyzer stuff like they do. Like if you're caught, they'll do it, but like they didn't see any booze. All they saw, like I don't even think that I think we even got rid of like the empty cups. I think we like threw it in a bag and like put it behind the keg or something like that. And there were no cans, no bottles. We told everybody it's all provided. Nobody bring anything. We want to be able to keep it as, easily concealable as possible. And so they're there. Like I said, my town had a curfew for minors. So 15 minutes before curfew, they go, all right, everybody get out of here, go home. And so we're like, yeah, no problem. And so like they watch everybody leave. And we go to get out. And to get out of this place, you have to drive through a wash. And so we're driving through the wash. We're like, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, do you think that they saw it? They had to have seen it, right? And the driver's like, no, I don't think that he saw it. And we're like, all right, well, let's take the back way and let's go up to the top of the hill and let's go see if we can go get it. And so we get to the top of the hill. We're driving no lights. Like we do this covert style. We have two people hop out of the truck or the Jeep. It was a Grand Cherokee. And they run down the hill. Cops have already left the bowl area at the bottom. And we got the keg and we're like, it's here. Like, but the problem was the tap was thrown into somebody's locked toolbox and those people had gone home. And so we then went on an excursion of just like calling every single person that we possibly knew that would have a tap. And the person that we found, fun fact, at this same time, I believe was dating my now wife. So yeah, and so he hooked us up with a tap, and then we found a loser's house that we could go hang out at. He had graduated like 2 years prior and got kicked out of the army for like flat feet or some shit like that. I don't even know. And it was like, it was the necessary evil in order for us to be able to get trashed was hang out at this loser's house.
Oh my gosh.
And so that became like our stomping grounds for the rest of the year. Like that's where we would go.
I went to where we moved to in Kansas when I was a teenager, small town, not that small, like 25,000 people. But like
that's big city living.
Yeah.
Compared to me.
Like there were parties right out in kind of like the boonies or whatever. And like cops would come sometimes, and basically the cops just came and like made sure everything was cool and left. And like reminded everybody not to drink and drive. Like, and there were no, cell phones really then. It was like pagers and stuff, but they would like come back. And every party, the first time they showed up, it would be like, oh my God, the cops are here. Everybody like put your shit down and like whatever, throw a blanket over the keg or whatever. And then the second time it'd just be checking in. I had to go to college to learn that cops would like take your beer away. Like they would, I went to junior college first and I've been at several parties where the cops would show up. It's all underage kids or mostly underage kids. And they would like take all the beer, make everybody crack all the beers open or just prop the tap open to a keg and kick everybody out. But can you imagine now, like me, if I was a cop going to a college party, like I don't want to arrest all you people. Like, in order to keep my boss off my ass, I guess I'll just dump the booze and send you on your way. Like, I never even got ticketed for like minor in possession or anything like that. One time I did have a friend. I was with her. She should have gotten a DUI. Because it was zero tolerance for under 21. She should have gotten a DUI, but the cop was super cool. It was one of those, she stopped drinking at like 10:30 deals to drive us home at 2:30.
Yeah, it's designated drunk driver.
Yeah. Designated sort of drunk driver. And
designated least drunk driver.
There's like 5 girls piled in like a 2-door Nissan Sentra. And we've been at the bar drinking underage. I'm sure we smelled, like a bar because the rest of us were hammered. And she should have gotten a DUI and like I think 0 tolerance. It was like arrested and stuff. But the cop gave her a minor in consumption ticket. And we called my boyfriend and he came and picked us up. And the cop sat there and waited. You got to leave the car here as long as none of you are driving and you get another ride. Then I will just give her this minor. I think it was a consumption, but it was like $100 ticket.
Like I never understood how cops like. Is there way more paperwork that goes with DUI tickets? Because I have another story just like that. I wasn't there for it. It was one of my friends who is not white, so I'll say that right now. He didn't get like the white privilege treatment or anything like that. He's a Mexican guy, and he was drunk and jumped his truck on a city street, and all he got was a reckless driving.
I don't know if there's like, or if it's just like maybe a person doing a job trying to do right by other people, right? Because like everybody that gets in a car and drives drunk is not like a dirtbag, right? Everybody is not. I think consequences are important, but like the harshest consequences available to the person issuing them are not necessarily the right consequences, right? Like, what are you going to do? You go to a college party and there's like 200 kids at this kegger, and you can tell, it's a junior college town. They're not all 21, but they're 18, 19, 20-year-old kids are going to party.
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do? You're going to ticket everybody and go through this massive amount of bullshit work when there could be like, I don't know, a shooting across town or some other, like, I don't think cops, even like good cops, right? Because there are bad ones, but like people who go into that sort of career path, nobody is like, I want to be a cop because I want to bust all these kids underage drinking. Underage drinking is bad. You shouldn't party. Like, people go be cops because they want to serve the community and keep people, what do their cars say? To protect and serve.
Yeah.
Right? At some level, protecting and serving the other general public is keeping kids out of trouble. But also, like, you kind of have to get in a little trouble. Like, you should go party a little bit and do stuff, stupid shit when you're young.
Yeah, you need to have, like, I feel like I've had as mellow of, like, I mean, I got married at 23. I got married so young.
So young.
But I also had I had the rev limiter hit every single minute from the moment I was 16 until I still was that guy, like 2 years into my marriage.
Yeah.
Like, and now I'm very mild mannered when it comes to like my drinking. I drink white girl drinks because I don't like to get totally out of control and things like that. And I think that it's important to have those blow off periods because, like, I worked with a bunch of like very devout Mormons in my early, like late teens, early 20s when I was doing alarms, like a bunch of like returned missionary types from, Mormon missionaries, and, very straight edge. And like, there's something underneath the surface that they never let come up.
Maybe.
And
because they don't do like, what is it? Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
The Amish kids do like
Rumspringa. Yeah.
Right? But here's the thing. I've only known in my life a handful of like super really devout Mormons that have stayed with it past like, college and into their adult marriage and raising kids, Mormon. All of the ones I know who have made it into their 30s, 40s, 50s and stayed with the religion and been, I guess, devout, but maybe is too big of a word, but dedicated, committed. They live the lifestyle, right? Because it is a lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
All of them have had some version of like a Rumspringa.
Yeah, they had a Rumspringa
period.
period.
Like, I know, like they've had alcohol, right? They went to college. They went a little berserko. They had some cocktails. They dropped some curse words. Like, they broke all the rules and then came back to
structure
that they, as an adult, decided this is how I want to live my life.
Yeah.
And like, that's cool. That's what's maybe, I mean, not the coming back to it, but that's what's supposed to happen when you're like, I don't know, your late teens and your 20s. I guess I keep forgetting that you got married at 23 because I met you, what, a couple years after you got married?
You met me, I was 20. So if in 2012 I had just turned 23, I moved here in 2015. So 3 years later, so I was about 26.
And you're not even married for 3 years? Like, when I was 26, I hadn't even met Nick. I was still dating Major DB. Well, I was trying to unload him and move to Denver. Like, when we got married, Nick was, I don't know, it was right after his 33rd birthday.
You gotta remember that Mindy met me in my prime douchebag days, and she had to deal with that for probably 2 years.
I'm gonna have to talk to you about this, Mindy. What the hell?
Like, I have no idea how it happened because, man, I was a wild boy. Like, I was wild. Like, I was never like wild in the sense of like, it wasn't like, yeah, give me the heroin, but I was just like, I was drunk all the time. I had handles in my bedroom. I was living right off campus of U of A, but I wasn't going to school. Mm-hmm. I was just there because
all
like
perks
all
of
the
college.
Good parties, the girls, the booze, like everything was right there at my fingertips, and it was fucking awesome.
But you didn't have to go to class.
I didn't have to go to class.
Why interrupt the party?
I worked like class. 4 hours a day, like, because the alarm I will 100% advocate, like, if you are 18 and you don't want to go to college, look for alarm companies that will pay for you to go travel the country, because that is the best fucking thing I ever did.
And your 40-year-old friend is like, if I buy an alarm, maybe I should make sure the person installing it isn't some 20-year-old douchebag trying to travel the country.
Hey, I was a douchebag, but I was damn good at my job.
Okay, that's
fine. I was 22, and I ran the entire operations for the state of Texas for a company.
That's fair.
I was damn good at what I did.
You could be a DB and still be like, do a good job at work.
Yeah, we 100% like rode that line. Like, every now and then we would get drunk on work nights, and we worked six day work weeks. Like, every single day. We would, when we were out in the field, like if we were in a different city or state or something like that, we would be like on call from 9 o'clock to 9 o'clock pretty much. And that could mean that sometimes that you're not working until 2 o'clock. And then you're working from 2 till 9, or sometimes it's 2 to 7 or something like that. And then other times you get started right at 9 o'clock and you're working from 9 to 10. Because the call came in at 9, you got to finish it up, all that good shit. And we were damn good at what we did. And, you know, when you're working that much, you got a lot of steam to blow off.
Well, especially when you're 22.
Yeah.
Like, now, not so much.
No. Now, like, I work the same kind of hours, but I have a nightly toke on my weed pen.
Yeah, like now I work like a full 8, 9, 10 hour work day, and that's all I'm doing that day. I don't want to go to the grocery store. I don't want to like run errands. That's it. That's all. I want to work and come home.
And the days,
like,
as you get older, like, the days go by so much faster. And I think that it has to do with the comparison of how long you've lived. Because when you're 18, you've only lived 365 days times 18. Like, that's how many you have, and then you break that down by hour. You know, you've only had that much time to live.
It's a bigger piece of the statistical pie of your life.
You know what a math teacher from high school pointed out to me that I've always found really interesting?
What?
Is that your age in comparison to your parents, the fraction gets larger every single year.
Okay, hold on. Let me think.
So
Okay, if my parents' age is a pie.
Yeah.
And when I was born, my mom's pie had like 26 years in it. Okay, and then my piece gets bigger of that same pie.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, sorry if my mom ever listens to this, but my mom's about to turn 70 and I'll be 43.
Like the fraction of your age to her age has grown every single year.
My portion of that same pie is over half now.
But it didn't start out that way. That's the crazy thing.
It started out 0%.
You'd always make the joke that eventually you'll be the same age as your parents. He's like, because the fraction gets bigger every single year. It's like, well, it's not possible, but it is. I always found that interesting, and that stuck with me.
Yeah, that's weird. Meanwhile, I just been thinking about it in terms of, Ronnie, which is like, he started telling me like 10 years ago that I was no spring chicken anymore. And I'm like, hey, Dad, how does it feel to have like a daughter that's turning 40? And he's like, I don't know. I'm fine. I've been 40 for like 25 years. How do you feel? I'm good. So I asked my dad about having maybe like doing some kind of party for my mom. She turned 70. That's like a big number. And my dad's like, I don't know. But their 50th wedding anniversary is a few months later. Is next year. 50. 50.
Next year is me and Mindy's 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Me and Nick are 8 this year.
Yeah, we're hitting 9 in September of this year, and 10 will be next year.
Well, you guys got like dated and then got married.
Oh yeah, we did it. We did it real fast.
Yeah,
we did it
Nick
real
took
fast.
Like 5 years to bust out the hardware, bro. We've been together for. This is 2021. So I think I met him in the fall of 2007. So we've been together for, almost 14 years.
Before I even graduated high school.
Rude. That's fucking rude.
It's true.
Yeah, I think. I have to check with Chris because we met on Chris's birthday, but I think it was 2007. It was a couple years after I moved here, so. Are we on?
We're on.
We're on.
We're on. It's like we never left.
We didn't. But I have a fresh beer that magically appeared.
Oh, weird.
It's magic.
It's a magic podcast.
It is. It's the Just In podcast.
I looked at the shot and like having it right there. It looked like front and center. So this episode brought to you by Monster Energy Zero Ultra. Not a sponsor, but if you work for Monster or you know anybody who does, I drink these religiously.
True story.
Lost 50 pounds because of these bad boys. I mean, probably, eating less shit and working out regularly may have helped with it, but,
Maybe a little.
Maybe a little bit.
Okay, so earlier we touched on how your friend that had the tap was the guy that was dating Min Min.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how you met Min Min. Because I kind of know the story, but I don't all the way know the story.
So the very first time that I met Mindy was at, I want to say it was either a JV football game for St. David because he had gone to St. David. He was a senior when I was a freshman, and he was always cool with me. He knew my brother and everything, and so he was cool with me. And so like we never had issues. I wasn't like a huge fan of the guy because he just was like a douchebag.
DB.
DB. Him and his friends. DB Parade.
Yeah.
And I was at, like I said, I think it was either a JV football game or it was a football game that I was suspended from or something like that. I can't remember. I know there was a couple of times that like I got in trouble at home and my mom told coach that I couldn't play.
So you were like a teenager.
Yeah. I think I was a senior. And, we were always friendly. Like me and him, we were always friendly. And so, it's like, oh, hey, man, haven't seen you in a little while. He's like, oh, yeah, this is my girlfriend. Never thought anything about it. I remember her being cute.
Mm-hmm.
But, you don't want to hit on
Your friend's girlfriend.
Yeah. And again, not really friends, friendly.
Yeah.
We were friendly acquaintances. And so, never really thought about it. Maybe a couple months, couple years, something like that. We're out
something like that
in this place called Happy Valley, which is a place with like a bunch of trails and whatnot. You go off-roading, and I'm with a friend of mine. We'll call him Seth. That's his actual name.
Okay. I didn't know we were doing anonymity.
And we're just hanging out. Like, we both rode there in like a little car, so we were riding in like one, like it was maybe 8 people, and we all ended up in one person's Suburban. And it was me and my buddy in the back, and then Mindy was there. I didn't know this. I don't remember this. Like, I remember this event. I don't remember her there. She says that she was, though, so I take her word for it. And we were just going off-roading, and from the way she says it, I was being gay with my friend in the back seat, which, just to be clear, not that there's anything wrong with being gay. We weren't being gay, though. And so that was the second time that we met. And so, like, I was always trying to be like Mr. Cool. And so I'm sure I wasn't anything close to cool or anything like that. And then I think we might have met one other time other than that. But then, like I said, I lived in different places. And, dating apps had worked. And so I would find, companions through dating apps in the early days. And I would always try to tee up my buffet back home, so to speak. And a cute girl popped up on Facebook of girls, people you may know. And so I'm like, hey, you look really familiar. Have we met? And she responded, yeah, we've met a bunch. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I basically chalked that up to, there's no way that's going to happen, so not going to talk to her. I actually remember where I was when I sent that message, ironically enough. I was living in Utah in my boss at the time's spare bedroom months after he had gotten married. So that's a whole other story of living with newlyweds is hilarious because, man, newlyweds fight a lot. Especially when there's a guy that lives with them. The spare bedroom. Yeah. And never thought I was going to see her again. Like, so I just didn't respond or anything like that. Just like, she knows I'm an idiot, so not going to chase after that. And that was 2019. No, that was 2019. When I messaged her.
2 years ago.
I was 19.
There you go.
Maybe these do affect your brain a little bit.
White girls get wasted too.
I was 19, so it was 2008, 2009, around there. And never thought it twice about it. Ended up going to my high school's homecoming in 2011 with Nathan, the one and only. And we did what we do, which was, we poured booze into 7-Eleven cups and went and had a good time. Yeah,
Straight class.
Yeah, straight class. Nothing but class. And we had a good time at the old homecoming. And then we were like, well, what else is there to do? There's not much to do in the small town. So we go to the one of 3 bars in the area. And lo and behold, there was a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Mindy.
Was she blonde then?
She was no. It was like dark, and she may have had some like under coloring. I don't know what to call that. She may have had some of that going on. I don't think so though. I think it was just pretty dark. We could actually look it up. There's photos on my Facebook of when we.
I feel like
reconnected, if you will.
Because I've seen some of them. Because I'm friends with both of you on Facebook. I feel like she was dark haired. But, you know, even since I've known her, there's been dark hair Mindy, there's been medium hair Mindy, there's been, well, we're going to see blonde Mindy. This will be my first turn.
Platinum blonde.
Yeah. Seeing blonde Mindy, which I feel bad that she has to do so much work to get to that.
Oh, yeah. It's been a process. She's been working on her hair.
It's been a couple months.
Yeah, like 2 months. She's done a couple of different treatments, and it's getting lighter and lighter. But, man, it is a process.
The color she's trying to get to, I think I get my hair done in like 2 or 3 weeks. I could do it in 40 minutes. But her hair's just super dark and thick. She's got a lot of hair.
Yeah.
Right. Like you have more hair than I do.
Oh, here we go.
Let's see. Yeah, it's dark.
Yeah. So she has all dark hair. That's actually the night. Me and Nathan, we'd just gotten off work. We went to the high school homecoming game, and then we went to the bar. And this is from that night. You know, I'm still wearing my my work uniform.
Badge.
Yeah, I had my official badge and everything on.
I'm sure your employer appreciates that.
Oh yeah, well that company I think went under anyways. So yeah, she had totally dark hair, and I always had this thing because I would get drunk and I would, you know, have like beer goggles big time, and so I would have I'd have to go to Nathan and I'd be like, hey, is she hot? He's like, oh yeah, she's good. She's good looking. You're not gonna regret this. And I was like, okay, cool. And so, you know, hung out with her and her friends that whole night. You know, there's a bunch of photos from that
pictures.
night.
Yeah, I remember them.
There's one with a flower in my hair. I'm not gonna put those up for video people, but if you follow me on Facebook, go ahead and go back 10 years. You'll have a little laugh. And so, you know, we hung out that whole night, and I didn't get any.
Oh.
Thus being probably one of the catalysts to why I decided to marry her.
Oh, God.
Because, you know,
oh my God, Justin.
like to, you know, it's you don't want it to be too easy.
Yeah. Why buy the cow when you get the milk for free?
Yeah, and she fucking made me work. Like work hard.
Good for you, Min.
Like
good for you.
A month of being a total bitch to me. like I
That's karma.
Like
Like what if you decided to have kids and had a daughter? That's karma.
And that's why we're not having kids.
Yeah, that's karma.
Because I'd get karma on both sides. Like I'd have an asshole son and I would have a slut daughter. Like those are the two things I would definitely get.
No, not a slut daughter, but she'd be a beautiful daughter, and you'd have to be worried about all of the penises.
All of the penises.
You'd have to worry about all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
that's what would happen.
There was even a time where like she said thanks love to me. And I was like, I'm not one of your friends. Don't fucking say thanks, love. like, because it was something that she would say to one of her girlfriends.
Sweetie, dear.
Yeah. And I was like, I ain't one of your fucking girlfriends. I got enough friends. And like I was still just like trying to make it be a thing. And then we went to Phoenix together. I don't remember. I think I had to take like some paperwork up to Phoenix to the office. And she was going up just to have like a drunken weekend. And so I ended up tagging along, and you know, Long Island iced teas are pretty cool. That's when I grew an affinity for the Long Island iced tea. And we had met with a friend. So it was me, her, and I think one or two of her friends went too, I think. And one of her friends had a friend whose house we were supposed to stay at. She was a girl who was a little bit older than me, I think. Moral of the story, you know, Mindy was shooting me down pretty regularly. So, you know, I kind of maybe try to get under her skin a little bit. with this other girl. It wasn't even a pass, but I think at some point she ended up wearing my hoodie.
Flirtatious.
And that was not something that Mindy became a fan of. And I ended up getting super drunk. Yeah. No. I ended up having to sleep outside. I don't remember I don't remember everything about it. I remember that we were all supposed to stay at that girl's house, and then she got locked out of her place.
Can I call a friend on this podcast?
No.
Call a friend?
No, this is my version of the story. If you want hers, she can start her own podcast. But yeah, like, and I remember like they were some of them were sleeping in the truck, and I was like, fuck this, da da da. And I went and like slept outside of this, like I was in this apartment complex. It was an outdoor apartment complex, and it was like one of those like halls where there's a door here, and I just like ended up like sleeping there, and then like an old Asian dude like woke me. I was like, you have to get out of here. I was like, and it's like pouring rain because it's like during the downfall season in Arizona, where just when it rains, it fucking pours. And I like ended up sleeping in the bed of the truck, like at one point, like rain pouring down. And then like she eventually let me in the truck. This is the truck that she had when we first moved here.
Super attractive story. It makes you sound amazing.
It really does.
Yeah.
But shortly after that is when we actually decided to start dating, I think. And so that's the beautiful love story that is mine and Mindy's.
Love. It happens in all different fashions.
Yeah. Well, let's fucking hear yours. You're so fucking high and mighty.
No, not high and mighty. Nick and I met on like a Wednesday night, I think. At this super classy Silver Bullet in Thornton, Colorado, which is a dump. It was a dump then. I don't even know. I mean, I think it's still open. Anyway, like Wednesday night after work, me and my girlfriend had both had like a crappy day at work and decided to go have dinner and some cocktails. And we ended up at Old Chicago, and we had dinner and a couple drinks, and we were going to order another beer. And she was like, oh my God, the beers are so expensive here. Let's go across the street to that dive across the street. The beer's cheap. And they have a pool table. It was like a Wednesday night. So, okay, sure. So we tab out at Old Chicago, go across the street to this dump, and on a Wednesday night, and there's like 3 bar-sized pool tables, and on one of them, there's this like grody, like pair of old men, like dirty, like not super friendly looking guys, and on the other table, like same story. And in the middle are Nick and Dylan and Chris and Kevin. Like guys our age, clean cut, and they're playing pool, and they look like kind of friendly. And so Nikki and I get a beer and go put quarters down on that table. So whatever, when our quarters were up, they let us come play pool. And at the time, we were playing like a pool league on Monday nights or something. Anyway, we were both playing pool regularly, and we're pretty good at it. And so we won the table, but then let them continue to play with us. And, that ended up in all of us being extremely intoxicated. And naturally. I gave Nick my phone number, and I gave him my real phone number because, much like you, I was like, hey, I think he's like pretty cute, but I'm a little wasted. Is he really? And Nikki's like, yeah, give him the real number. Give him the real number. And so I gave him my real phone number. And apparently, before he used my real phone number, he called one of the guys that was there and asked him, like, hey, I know I got this girl's phone number, but, like, should I call her? And I think it was Kevin that was like, yeah, no, she's cute. Yeah, call her. And so then, like, the next weekend, Nikki and I met up with Nick and a couple of his friends again. Because, like, neither of us knew each other. The second time I saw him, the only reason I knew where to go in the bar is because I recognized the tall, bald guy.
Dylan?
Yes. And so I was like, Nikki, isn't Nick, is he the dark haired one? And Nikki's like, yeah, just go. Yep, go that way. He's looking at you. And then we got, wasted again. But Nikki didn't get totally wasted. And she was like, no, I can drive you guys home. And Kevin's fiance at the time was like, oh, no hoochie mamas from the bar are driving you guys home. I will be up there to pick you up. Anyway, and so, and then whatever, 5 years later, Anita was in my wedding. But, her first comment about me was, no hoochie mamas from the bar are driving you guys home. Anyway, so we met at a dive bar that we live, 2 miles from now. And if you're a local, I generally don't tell locals where we met because I feel like there's a component of judgment about having met my husband at the Silver Bullet.
Oh, well, if it makes you feel any better, the arena where we met on this night has the same kind of stigma.
It's even now, it's not a nice place. It's not nice. It's just a little shitty dive bar. But anyway.
Yeah, but did yours have a rodeo behind it?
No, it's right there.
Because ours did.
Yeah, it's in the middle of suburbia. No, there's no rodeo behind it. Although they did get in trouble, in Colorado. Because when I first moved to Colorado, you could still smoke inside of bars and restaurants and stuff. When the no smoking inside was initially started, especially bars tried to work all these different ways to get around it because the weather isn't amazing in November and December and now at night. Well, they have a patio out back and they built this tent thing and it got to be more of a building and they got in trouble with the city even though they had the smoky thing, sucking the air out. Anyway, but it's not a super nice place. It's just a little shitty dive bar with pool tables and a golden tee.
Naturally.
Yeah. But the first few times we met up with people.
Yeah.
Nick would have Dylan or Kevin or Corey with him or something. And I would have Nikki or Tisha or then eventually it was Tisha and Brandon. Anyway, then we went out on a date, just the two of us and but yeah, it's not we met in some cute meet.
No.
It was a total dive bar. They were out because it was one of his friend's birthday on a Wednesday night. And I remember asking Nikki, I'm going to go out and what is he doing out getting trashed on Wednesday night? And she's like, we were out getting trashed on Wednesday night. Why are you being all judgy? And I'm I don't know. Anyway, the only thing I really remember about Nick from the first night I met him is he was nice. He's and he's good looking. He was polite, which I think those things all still apply to Nick now. Mm-hmm. He's nice. He's handsome. He's definitely very polite for the most part, especially with strangers.
Yeah.
He's tall. I like tall. But all I really remember for sure is he had a Big Mama Nextel phone that I programmed my phone number into. And Sprint had just merged with Nextel, and I was making fun of his Big Mama Nextel phone. Jesus, the buttons are my grandma could see them. And then, I know you and Mindy kind of met officially and started hanging out and dating and then got married relatively quickly.
Yeah.
Well, I met Nick and we moved in together. We started dating and I moved in with him 6 or 7 months after we met. But then we lived together for 5 years before we got engaged, maybe-ish. And I kind of feel bad for him because he took a lot of shit from a lot of different random people about, hey, are you going to put a ring on it? Just random shit. We were with friends at a Rockies game one time. And one of my friends was there's a Shane Company ad on the digital, crawl thing. And Val was like, hey, Nick, you're going to put a ring on it? It's right there. You just go to Shane Company. He got called out a lot in that time. And
did anybody tell him that he was making you a whore for living in sin?
not to my knowledge.
That was my grandma. She
not
told me I was
sure.
making Mindy a whore because we were living together before we got married.
Yeah, I mean, no.
And my grandma's not like an 80-year-old woman or anything like that. She's
Yeah.
like,
No.
she's very, very young and spry, and so it was very funny.
I don't
And
think so.
caused a lot of family drama because she was like, I'm not going to go to the wedding.
I don't think so. I don't think anybody gave him any shit about that. He'd already had a girlfriend that he lived with. I already had a boyfriend that I'd lived with. I do know.
Not a lot of Mormons around you.
Yeah, no. I do remember my mother-in-law telling me, sponsorship, that she knew, because I only met Nick's parents like maybe once or twice before we moved in together, and he hadn't met mine at all.
Yeah.
He met my brother before I moved in with him, but by the time he met my parents, I'd already moved in. But my parents did kind of take Tisha's parents' word for, because Albert kind of gave him the rundown a couple times. But
Oh, Albert.
I do remember Tammy at some point, not then, but at some point since then, telling me that she knew that Nick was totally in love because I smoked and I had a cat. And I moved, and that's what she kind of knew about me. She only had met me like twice.
Oh, okay. So that he let you move in spite of those things,
Yeah,
not because of those
like,
things.
I knew Nick was
like,
totally Twitter-gated and in deep because you moved in, and all she'd only met me like twice. One of a handful of things that she knew about me was that I smoked and that I had a cat. And I don't think Nick has any judgment about that because, like, his deviated septum and stuff. He can't smell. So the smell is, like, negligible, I think, for him. But he's allergic to cats, which he didn't tell me.
Do you know like 37% of American males are allergic to cats?
I mean, I'm allergic to cats, too. But, like, anyway, and he, like, rearranged his life with his big dogs. And me and Oliver, moved in with him. Like 6 or 7 months after I met him. And then I honestly think, I don't even know if I've told Nick this before, but I honestly think the only reason that he finally like decided to propose was because I went and got like, fucking hammered on like girls' night one time.
Naturally.
And the girls were like, you got to tell him, that was like the theme of the night. We got riding Nick's ass. He's a shitter get off the pot because they all kind of had like boyfriends, married, significant others that were like, I don't know. They were all like, we got to tell, you got to, I got shit faced and had to take a cab home because it's like pre-Uber. And then I was so fucking hammered that I was like struggling to get the key in the lock in the front door. Like I had to ring the doorbell like 6 or 7 times to wake Nick up because I like could not get the key in the doorbell or in the lock. And he came downstairs and opened the door. Of course, like perturbed and stone cold sober. And I came home in the cab, like practicing what I'm supposed to say. I'm supposed to say, you got to propose in a year or I'm leaving, shit or get off the pot, whatever. I had this whole like drunk speech in my head. But the time that all the focusing on the lock and the key and the ring and feeling bad about ringing the doorbell and I sort of forgot about the speech. And I just walked in and just kind of said, hey, you know what? If you don't want to get married, I guess that's cool. Because I think I was going to come home and like kind of like give you an ultimatum. But actually, like it would be fake. So like I would like to get married and change my name and, but tears and everything. But like, I guess if you were just
very attractive,
if you were just like opposed to the institution of marriage, I guess I'll just get over it. And then like, I don't know, like 3 months later, he proposed.
There you go.
Yeah. So that's it. We met at this fancy bar, much like you and Mindy.
I think that she likes to tell people that we met at a football game.
feel like that's what maybe I thought. I knew there was a football game in the story.
Yeah.
That's what I remember.
I think that for the most part, she waits till people are like a little bit more embedded in the the friendship before being like, yeah. So we essentially made it a bar,
You know,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
no, we can't all be Tish and Brandon.
Bars are the past, Tinder and Bumble and Hitch.
I don't even know what those things are, other than the first one.
Oh, they're all dating apps.
Okay.
Bumble is one where like the women instigate the conversation, or
Don't the women do that anyway?
no, it's mostly dick pics.
I mean, in straight relationships, aren't the women kind of in charge because we have the vagina?
Yeah, but when it comes to like Twitter and like Tinder and the other apps, like anybody, as soon as you match, like you can like hit them up, be like, hey, how's it going? Like in Bumble, like it's you give a thumbs up as a dude, like you're the dude, you give the thumbs up, and then if the girl gives a thumbs up, the only one that can like start that conversation is the girl.
That's rude.
Right?
I think that's like
Sexist?
yeah. I was gonna say discrimination, but
it probably does mean less dick pics because
yeah, I don't know if
men
you
are
guys
gross.
know. Yeah, girls don't like dick pics.
I meant to ask that, so I had so this is coming out a week after the podcast with Charlotte Stokely comes out. Charlotte Stokely is the most accomplished girl-on-girl adult performer in the industry, like Hall of Famer, all that good stuff. Like she's fucking legit. And I meant to ask it, but I didn't put it on my list of questions. But I want to be like, how many dick pics do you get in a day?
I'm sure she gets a lot.
But
like girls don't like dick pics, generally speaking, right?
Like
I
the
guess
male
it's
form
mine.
is so gross.
But that's because
That's what's so funny about
the
it.
universe is not stupid, or God is not stupid, or whatever you want to think, right? But like
The programmer, if you will.
the programmer, the Matrix is not stupid. Guys are visually stimulated, so girls' bodies are beautiful. Like, I would rather a random girl send me a picture of boobs than any dude send me a picture of a penis. Maybe Nick, I could get away with that. I could go for that. But like, girls are not. It's not a visual thing, generally speaking.
Yeah.
And so, look, sorry. Even like Greek gods, like there's a reason there's little leaves over the unit in the statues and stuff.
Well, and the ones that don't, you ever notice they have like
little.
small dicks?
Yeah.
It was because it was like a faux pas to have a big dick back in the day.
Well, that may be true, but I think the real reason is that some lady who was standing around watching them sculpt the sculpture was like, look, if we're not going to put a leaf on it, you could at least make it small so I can ignore it. Because I'll look at the abs and the shoulders and the face. Maybe some girls are like into the booty, like a nice muscular butt. But like, I don't need to see the thing.
I think
it's lights out. There's a reason you don't have to have the lights on. I don't need to see it. That's girls generally not. It's not a visual thing.
God, the programmer, whatever it is. I think that penises were a joke. Like it's like I feel like whoever was designing that, if there is intelligent design in the human form, that penises were like the final joke. They're like, and then we're just gonna go ahead and put this here.
Yeah, with the
Just
little
like,
berries.
Even
It'd be
like
funny. That's what I would do if I was gonna create a species. I'd make a little joke in there.
Yeah, and then the only way to make more people is to use the
little stick.
the weirdest fucking thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just have a weird dick. Who knows?
No. Gross. Okay, let's change topics.
We've talked about how we met our
around.
significant others. We've talked about dicks and God and the programmer. And so let's go ahead and move on to we haven't talked about how we met.
Yeah, I mean, I said before we started, I hope that you remember more of that than I remember. And not to be like mean, but I think I don't remember a ton of detail because we met because you were going to come work at my store, like that, because you were a job applicant essentially.
Yeah.
And like in all these years, I've interviewed a ton of people and I can't remember all the details. I'll tell you what I remember.
Okay.
What I remember,
I'll fill in the gaps.
Is I think I had an open assistant manager position, and you applied for that. And I remember being, because you're always excited when it's an internal candidate. Like, okay, it's internal. Oh, he's got some tenure. I think that you had worked at like a large volume store and a little store, or maybe I don't remember.
Just
if
a
it had
little.
been a little one, and I was like maybe like I don't know. But that you wanted to move here, and you were totally understanding of that, like there wasn't going to be a relocation package or anything. And I think maybe we talked on the phone.
We talked on the phone, and then
you came here.
Yeah, because I came out a week before Mindy to find a place to live.
Yeah.
And so I met you and John Allender, name drop for some reason, for my like interview.
Oh yeah, because you were store manager then.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember that like maybe we spoke on the phone, and then you came here, and you came to the store and we talked in person. I don't really remember many details around that, but I do remember that I told you that I wasn't going to hire you as an assistant manager, but I would transfer you in as a rep. And you were like, I don't know, I'm going to have to think about it.
Yeah, so filling in some gaps. So I had actually decided before moving out here I was quitting Sprint. And I had actually gotten a job for Sleep Number Bed, installing beds. Done all my interviews and everything. I was literally going to be starting that job 8 days after I drove up here from Arizona. And my manager, who we didn't get along well back in Arizona, like we didn't get along well. There was one instance where like there was a meeting that I called into because I lived 45 minutes away and there's no point for me to drive up for a meeting, all that good shit. And I literally told him to go fuck himself in front of the entire store. Oops. And so like, you know, we didn't have the best relationships, but I think that he was really scared of me. And he was like, listen, I think that you are good at your job. I think that you're really good at what you do. I think that you should just see what's out there before just quitting. And so I'd even given my 14-day notice. Yeah. I was ready, like everything was going to be terminated. Like I was just going to be done. Like I was like, this isn't, I don't think I'll be able to move on with it. I got this job that's going to pay me more than what I was making in Arizona because I was working at a small volume store and things like that. And I had talked with you and you were like, yeah, come on in when you get here. Just let me know when you're going to be in Colorado. We'll go ahead and get an interview set up. So I did the interview, and just like you said, like you're like, so here's the deal. You're coming from a smaller store, and you've only been.
Oh, did I tell you like right there?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. You were like right up front with it.
I'm not surprised about it, but.
No. I mean, it's part of like your personality. You're very straightforward, and you were like, but I want you here. And I was like, okay. And so you're like, I'm going to talk to the district manager and see if I can get approval for an additional lead spot here. Cause that's what I was previously. And so I was like, all right, see what you can do. And we'll talk. Mm-hmm. And so then you called me a few days later. You're like, so I talked, it's all good. If you want the job, you got it. And so, I had to do some talking with Mindy, and it came down to like, yeah, I'm going to be making more base salary if I do the beds, but I'm going to be working at the biggest store in Colorado, and I can possibly make way more money. And so, we thought about it for probably, I think I told you, I was like, yeah, give me 48 hours. And so
I remember that there was a few days or something.
Yeah. Cause I remember you called me. I was in a Walmart or a Target. Like my brain works so weird. Like I remember weird details. Like I said, I remember writing
if you
that
were
message
in
to Mindy.
Trash bag Walmart or like white girl Target.
I just remember being in like the home
were
goods
in a
section.
retail
Like there was
store?
totes. There was like plastic totes around. Like I said, weird things. Like
Yeah.
the fact that I remember where I was when I Facebook messaged Mindy.
Yeah, that's odd.
Like I remember where I was, not only just like location, like area. I remember being in the
section of
room,
store.
the computer that I used to do it because I was using my computer more than my phone at that time. Like all like the weird way that my brain works and remembers little details. I can't explain it. But I remember being in one of those stores and then like talking with Minnie. I was like, well, let's talk about it when we get home, and talked about it. And I was like, I don't know. I think I can make more money. And I don't hate doing this. Like I like talking with people. I mean, I still get that with Sleep Number, but when you're working in people's houses, I'd done that for 7 years prior. And you know, you get a little burned out on things like that. Like, cause I'd done it with the alarm, and then I'd also done it for Comcast. And so I was like, I don't know. You know, it was a sure thing, guaranteed more money. Sprint was. I was actually getting a bump in pay just for being in a more populated area, so that was cool. And then I was like, I think I can make baller
really
commissions.
cool.
You were cool. And that was the thing. I was like, well, and she's cool. Like, you know, it is, you know, I feel like we'll get along well. I don't know who I'm going to be working with at Sleep Number. You know, what if I end up working with a guy, like my partner, to set up beds, and he's a total dick? Like, I was like, at least this is one out of like 16 people that, you know, I know. I mean, I didn't realize that that's how many people were there because
It's like 24.
I came from a store of like 8.
Yeah.
And, excuse me, burps are getting to me. Yeah, all that carbonation.
That's what white girls do. They drink.
All the Truly lemonade that I'm drinking. Zero calories. No, 100 calories. Only 3 grams of carbohydrates, which is why I like it, because my body doesn't like carbohydrates. So get yourself a Truly lemonade. And people at Truly.
Indigestion.
It's totally
get
worth
drunk
it.
with it.
Totally worth it. But so I remember hitting you back up. I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. And so I came on board, and man, like that's one of those decisions that has stuck with me for a long time, because I've gotten some of like my best friends because of going to that store. Like Jordan is one of the best people I've ever met in my life, even though we were calling him a douchebag earlier. He's the king of the douchebags.
My Coca-Cola koozie. My Aloha Coca-Cola koozie.
There you
Jordan,
go.
Chelsea. Me, Tish.
Yeah, like, because there was
Brandon
you,
Day.
there was Tish, there was, you know, rest in peace, Lamont, man. I keep his picture on my work desk.
Yeah.
I miss that guy.
Okay. I've had enough
Yeah, we got
to not talk about that.
But there's just like so many cool people. Like I liked working with Isaac. I liked working with Yesenia. Like I got to meet like so many different cool people, and like that's kind of been my thing, is like, you know, coming from a super small conservative town, like you don't get the exposure to the world. And like, because of my travels, I got to like meet different cultures and different people. And I really, like, I think, like, I'm being like dead honest when I say this. I think that like leaving high school, I think I was definitely racist. I honestly think I was, and it was entirely from a place of ignorance and
you didn't know.
No exposure.
Yeah.
And then I got to meet some of the coolest people like in my travels. Like I remember specifically in Rochester, New York, this is my first time of like stepping out, and like I was doing this alarm thing for the first time, and I left home for the first time. I was 18. I was living across the country in New York State, upstate New York. Like it's a total culture shock.
Yeah.
And I remember this family of Cubans. Like they were the fucking nicest people I had ever met. Like I go there and like I'm installing their alarm, and they're having a cookout, and they're like, "Nope, it's break time. It's break time. You're having some tacos or whatever it was. I don't remember what it was at the time, but you're having some of this." And then like they noticed that. So like at some point, like somebody had passed my car and like knocked off my mirror, and it was like hanging off. And this guy goes, "Hey, I just called my cousin. He's bringing over a mirror. We're gonna go ahead and get that replaced for you. Get it all set up for you." And just like having that introduction to like a totally different culture that I'd never had experienced. Like, I mean, I grew up in Tacoma, Washington, where I was surrounded by, Asian gangsters. And so that was like the most exposure. Like I had like a neighbor that was Hispanic. I had a neighbor that was black, but like it was a very small sample size. And just getting out of, the cocoon of southeastern Arizona and being in upstate New York, like I got to meet like these really cool and very different people, and I got to learn what I think there was a lot of people. I think that there is a lot of people, not was a lot of people like me, to where they're afraid of / uncomfortable with
the unknown.
Different.
Yeah.
And I, I've been able to like shed that. And it's one of the coolest things because I've been able to make these great friends across like the race boundaries, sex, religion, gender, fucking sexual orientation.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how I started talking about this in all honesty, but
we were talking about how we met and how you ended up at Sprint.
Yeah.
Like, we also, I think Denver, for all the like oatmeal jokes and like soy milk jokes and whatever, Denver is like a good melting pot.
Yeah.
Because there's like pockets of town where there's like a little Indian kind of corner of town. There's a lot of Latinos here. There's a lot of African Americans here. There's a lot of all of the different whoever you want to sleep with things here. Like however you want to identify, like
LGBTQAI
all the things.
plus.
Yeah, all the things. And I think if you go like live in Denver, there's a very like liberal left-wing blue, if you will, like part of town. And then there's Boulder, of course. But then the rest of like suburbia is just pretty normal people, right? No matter sexual orientation or religion or race or whatever. Like most of the people I know are just pretty regular people. Like just pretty regular people. I need a job. I need a place to live. I probably need a car. And I maybe want to get married or have some kids, have some dogs, go on vacation, have some cocktails with my family and my friends, and just pretty regular people. But look, on that note, this regular person has to pee again. So pause.
What were we just talking about?
We were talking about how we have all the kinds of people and all their lifestyles and like,
Oh, and it all stemmed from like staying with Sprint was like a huge decision in my life. Like it has like formed my friend circle. Like even though I haven't worked for Sprint for like 3-4 years going on now, and I talk to Jordan weekly. I am over here regularly. And it's it has been one of those decisions. Like there's I think like 5 key decisions in people's lives that really like form how they like act and like really form their grown up years, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I can attribute one of them is reaching out to a guy that was a senior when I was a freshman. And actually, I think he was a junior when I was a freshman. No, it doesn't matter. And he was the one that was doing the alarms and put out a thing on Facebook or MySpace maybe at that time. I don't remember. Just being like, hey, I need some people who want to travel and work. And, me being the 18-year-old kid that I was, ready to just knowing that school wasn't my thing. Like school wasn't my calling. Like there's a part of me that wishes that I'd finished school, but it wasn't my thing. Like people are my thing. And like, that's what alarms gave me. I got to meet like that Cuban family.
Mm-hmm.
I got to meet so many different cool people, like a guy that I went to a gambling boat in Georgia with. Like, it's like these totally random people that I just got to have like these cool experiences with. And then another one being, you know, deciding to get married.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, deciding to stay with Sprint, even though, you know, it was only for a few more years, it still like really formed like my friend circle, and that has formed me as a person because, like, you know, you'll go through times where you're not a good friend and things like that, and like you'll be inspired by people like Jordan, who's like an excellent friend, like, and so like, you know, it's making the decision to stick with Sprint was like I can't imagine what my life would be like if I didn't do that, because it would be so drastically different.
Yeah.
Like, would that job have driven me crazy and I would have, you know, stopped doing it and just become a bartender, or would I have loved it and climbed up the ladder and like ran the state of Colorado? I mean, who knows? But it kind of all unfolded in a really good way.
Yeah. I mean, I look at my friend circle. I mean, you guys make jokes about it when we're all together, but like Tish, you, Jordan, Chelsea, which like those are like some of my closest friends, and then your spouses, right? Or Jordan and Chelsea. But like, I don't know. I feel like, and sometimes maybe that's what makes me stay at my job, because I'm sort of like my friend group, I'm sort of like the last man standing.
Yeah.
But
you need to find more cool people to introduce to the crew.
Here's the thing. Here's the super weird thing is that like now there are super cool people at work, but I feel because of my position now, I feel very conscious about having a very clear delineation between work and personal.
Yeah, I get that 100%, because like I kind of always thought that everybody was like me and can draw those hard lines, but I've learned that I'm kind of the exception.
Yeah.
Like I'm the exception to the rule.
Like I remember, so Tish didn't always work for me at Sprint, right? We met as, I don't know, peers, but well, I don't know. Anyway, we met, and then I started managing a store. She was a technician there. And she didn't always work for me, right? We did some stuff and she left, whatever. And then she ended up coming back to work for me at some point. And her dad, at this point, I mean, we'd been friends for like a decade. And Albert was like, hey, I'm there. Like, I'm at the dinner table with them. And Albert's like, are you sure you want to go work for that bitch again? Because the standards are set. I expect more of you.
Mm-hmm.
And like maybe that's sort of shitty. I don't know. I don't think that it is.
No, I think that it's innate. Like it's innate in us that like we don't want to ever, like we know our integrity level, and we don't want to ever have people think less of us, because that we don't want people to think that we treat like our friends that we work with better than the people that we don't. So like I'm the same way. Like I have a guy that I work with that, you know, sometimes jacks off, and I gotta fucking tell him and be like, hey dude, like what the fuck?
Yeah. Like I felt like super self-conscious sometimes about having people that work for me being friends with them, right? Because you and Tish and Jordan and Chelsea are not the only people that I've tried to have that relationship with, and most of the time it fails because the other because generally I'm the higher ranking person in that relationship, and like I've written all of you up. I've written all of you up, right? Actually, Tish has also written me up, but because I gave her the power to do it, right? We've had arguments that had to do with work, like, but I've always been very self-conscious about like, okay, if people know or find out that we're friends outside of work, would they see anything like you getting to be late more, or you getting favoritism? And actually, if anything, it's that you're treated more harshly. Mm-hmm. You, Jordan, Chelsea, Tish, Lamont at some level, like some of the people that I've had the closest personal relationship with, you're actually treated more harshly when I manage you because I expect more.
Yeah.
And then there's the weird, like, other sort of like sideline relationships, because some of you are friends with some people at Sprint that also I know or worked for me, and like I just never ventured past the border because I didn't feel the vibe of like full tilt trust. I've just maintained a border.
Yeah.
Which sometimes has made me uncomfortable for some of you, but I still work here.
Yeah.
So it does kind of suck. Also, I'm older and like I like having less really good friends than more okay friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm okay with like a small circle of legit people than like a large circle of flaky people.
Yes.
I get that.
Yeah. So that's that.
The long and the short of it, that's how we met.
That's how we met. And met our spouses.
So no kids, huh?
No. Are you kidding? Ugh.
Others people's kids
Other
is
people's
enough
kids are
enough
great.
like
Other
enough
people's kids.
exercise of that like muscle
Yeah.
that I don't need it.
I have like the occasional like, oh man, I mean maybe I should have a baby. And then like I see a baby or like I am around and I'm like, oh God. No, I'm good. I'll help you with your baby. Or like be the cool aunt or whatever, but no.
Every now and then I feel like the innate like, my bloodline is gonna end
like,
with
oh
me
my God.
thing.
I
But then
worry
I
about
remember what
that.
kids are like and I'm like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy being selfish. I enjoy making decisions, and my decisions only affect one other person.
Yeah.
And it's not going to fuck that one other person up for the rest of their lives. Like
Well, it
Mindy's
might,
a big
highly
girl.
unlikely.
Like yeah, but like
Like,
me,
if she doesn't want to tolerate your shitty decisions, she can leave.
yeah, a kid
right?
can't.
The kid is screwed.
Yeah.
They're totally dependent on you. And you can fuck them up in an entirely different way than you can fuck Mindy up.
Yeah.
Right? No, I'm good.
Yes.
I like having dogs. I like that our house is quiet.
Quiet house is amazing,
I
right?
feel like maybe that's selfish. I don't give a shit if somebody else thinks it's selfish.
Like I love my brother's kids. I love them. They're fantastic. They're they remind me of me and him.
Awesome. They're fun. They're cool.
But man, just like a house that never like quote unquote sleeps. Like it's always something going on. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Like we were out in Arizona staying with him back in November. This is no slight to you and your family, Ira, I promise. It's just there's always something. And like I just look at him and his wife and I go, how?
Yeah.
How? Like
Yeah.
I am exhausted from putting in time at my job and then watching our stories that me and Mindy watch at the end of the day. Like I am exhausted by that. By 9 o'clock, like I'm in bed by 8:30.
Yeah.
Like
I think I would be more like, I guess, attracted to the idea of having a kid if you could just get a kid. Like if I could just have a kid, not a baby. Right. Like if we could get if you could start out, which like somewhere in the area of definitely no diapers, absolutely some vocabulary. Like, oh, would you like milk and cereal? No, I'd like pancakes. I'd like that.
so you want a 4-year-old?
Yeah, something like that. Past the no stage, past the why stage. Yeah, so probably 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, like, I'm cool with, like, teach you how to whistle and tie your shoes and stuff. But, like, also, hey, go to bed because now it's adult time. See ya.
Like if I had a kid, bedtime would be like 6. Like,
Exactly.
Like, all right, I'm done with work. It's time for you to go to bed.
Yeah, aren't you sleepy? Peace out. Yeah, no kids.
Yeah, like
The dogs are kids.
the dogs, yeah. Especially like we both have very distinctly opinionated dogs. Does that make sense?
Big personality.
Big personalities. Yeah, they all have
Yeah.
very big personalities and very different personalities. Yeah. And that's enough, man.
Yeah,
Like
my dogs are my kids.
like
I do kind of wish that my brother would have some kids. You know, so that there would be some kids that were like genetically related to me. Or my parents also. Like I kind of wonder if my parents feel bad about like not being grandparents. So I do kind of wish my brother would have some kids, but I'm not doing it.
Jordan's ears must have been burning because he texted me.
It must have been.
Like he hasn't sent me a text in like 8 days. It's very strange that it's today, thus proving that we live in a simulation.
We're in the Matrix.
Have you even seen the Matrix?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, all of them.
I don't trust your
Multiple times.
your movie
I like Keanu Reeves.
sense anymore.
Just because I didn't watch the fucking Gladiator? Fuck off, bro. He dies at the end. That I'm not watching it.
Everybody, please comment
Suck
how
it.
dumb that
You
is.
can suck it.
Gladiator is such a like
Maybe someday I'll be like super depressed. I'll go through a depression stage and I'll watch a movie that is I'll be looking for like a movie that's going to make me more sunken in my depression because I just want to wallow in my fucking misery. And then I'll watch the fucking Gladiator because I know for sure it has a fucking shitty ending and I'm going to cry.
No, you probably will cry, but you will go, "Oh my god, I was so wrong about this movie." So wrong.
Probably.
It's so good.
But-
It is excellent storytelling, amazing acting. Like Russell Crowe acts his
don't doubt
dick
that.
off.
I don't doubt all
Joaquin Phoenix, like you hate Joaquin Phoenix in that movie.
He's
Like
very hateable.
you have like a fire in you. Like you want bad things to happen to him. And
He does that part well.
yeah, he does. He just has one of those faces.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just
But then
he's
he can also
so
be
good.
super nice and likable.
Yeah, like Signs. You like him in
Yeah,
Signs?
he's nice in that. And then he's in like that one movie with was it called Holiday or something? With oh god, what's her name? I think it's called
Why
Holiday.
is this thing not silent?
Where they like switch houses. Cameron Diaz. She comes to. She
No, that's
goes to-
Jude Law.
Oh, okay.
And it was called Holiday. You are correct about that.
That was a cute movie. Jack Black.
Jack Black is in it. Cameron Diaz.
Who's the other chick?
The chick from Titanic.
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, Joaquin Phoenix is good. He's good in other stuff. He's likable in other stuff. But he also is really good at being hateable.
Did you see him in Joker?
Yes.
Man, how there's no question to like Joaquin Phoenix is an amazing actor, but holy shit. Like he acted his dick off in that fucking movie.
Yeah, he's good.
Like
he's good.
he's so like he makes like the more that he does things and the more that I like look back on his body of work, I think that he might be as close to like a Brando as we're ever going to get in like this more like it's a different age
It's
of
so
Hollywood.
different, yeah.
But I think that it's the closest that we'll ever get.
Maybe. I mean, my favorite actor now, I like Keanu Reeves.
Oh, Keanu Reeves is great.
He's amazing.
Like
'Cause
the
he
John
can
Wick
do
movies.
John Wick, and he's badass and amazing, and he's also a beautiful man. And he also did Point Break, and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this
Speed.
One, oh yeah, Speed.
He did Speed.
The one movie that was like an Amazon movie or something with the
Oh, I never saw that one. It was like
girl
The
that has-
Long Weekend, I think.
yeah. There's
Winona
that.
Ryder.
Yeah, there's
Always Be My Maybe.
Yeah.
when he plays himself in that.
Yeah.
Oh man! So and the fact that he has like that comedy about himself is even better. Like I have.
I think the only Keanu Reeves movie I haven't watched is that newish one. Is it called like Knock Knock or something?
Oh, that's a fucked up movie.
It's a horror movie.
Well, I mean, it's not really horror.
Or
It's more thriller.
Okay, because like I like thriller, but there's a fine line between thriller and horror. I don't like horror.
Yeah, it's not horror. It's not horror. It's. But like, I almost think that thrillers are worse.
I like thrillers
because thriller, like, and I like thrillers because I like the whodunit like part of a thriller or something to that effect. But that one is like super nerve wracking because you're like, oh, if you put yourself in that situation, you got to watch it to like fully understand it.
Horror, at least in that he's gonna make some stupid fuck decisions.
You're not wrong, but I advise watching it. It's a good watch.
But then he also was like in The Notebook or whatever, the Nicholas Sparks book movie.
No, the really Lake House.
Whatever.
Not a Nicholas Sparks movie.
Oh, okay.
I know because I dated a girl.
Letter.
It's called The Lake House.
With Sandra Bullock?
Yeah.
Is it called The Lake House?
Yeah.
It was a great book, and they made a really good movie from the book.
Yeah, I know Nicholas Sparks movies and books really well. I dated a girl like for a while when I was like 18, 19, and she was all about it. And I saw a lot of Nicholas Sparks movies, and actually read a couple of the books.
The books are
a couple
good.
of them really good. Like there was one about I think it's called like 2 Weeks with My Brother or something like that. It's one they never made a movie about, but it's a more like autobiographical. It's more like nonfiction than his other stuff. And it's just about like 2 weeks with his brother. Like they.
I don't know if I read that one.
It's a good one. I advise it. I don't know how we started talking about Nicholas Sparks,
because Keanu Reeves is amazing.
Keanu
And he can do all the stuff.
I mostly my stuff that I follow on Reddit is like all like things that I enjoy immensely. So like I have like an Xbox one that I follow for like news around like gaming and things like that. And I'm a huge dork. And like it's all stuff like that, like phone operating systems I follow and like Apple products because I'm a dork. And then there's one called Keanu is Awesome or Keanu Being Awesome. And it's literally it's memes just all about Keanu, like Keanu giving his seat up on a subway to a pregnant woman, and then
he's awesome.
Keanu talking about bikes with Jay Leno for 15 minutes.
And he's got a girlfriend now. I mean, apparently he's had this girlfriend for a while. And kept
Good for him, man.
I saw it online.
He also has like a really sad past too. Like I want to say that there was something about like a girlfriend that died.
I think a wife.
A wife,
and
yeah.
A kid.
Yeah. I don't remember the specifics about it, but like when you're already a fan of the guy and then you learn that he went through this and he's like kept this like unbelievably nice persona, whether I honestly don't think that it's a front.
No, because you see the thing about him paying the layaway stuff or him giving up the seat on the subway or whatever.
Yeah. And for him, like, I don't know, like when shitty things happen to you like a lot of people like will just become shitty.
Yeah.
And he has 100% avoided that, which is awesome. And this is the Keanu hour.
Okay, but then my other favorite actor, well, I do really dig Robert Downey Jr., but that's mostly because of Iron Man.
Did you like him in Tropic Thunder?
That movie is totally stupid.
It's the greatest comedic movie of all time.
Really dumb.
It's amazing. It's an entire fucking commentary on how ridiculous Hollywood is. Yes. It's so amazing.
I didn't say it was bad.
You said it was dumb. It is not
really dumb.
It highlights the dumb in Hollywood.
Yes, that's legit. But mostly I like Tony Stark, not so much Robert Downey Jr. Although he has done other stuff that's good. I love Iron Man. Yep. And then I also love Denzel Washington.
Denzel. I love Training Day.
Training Day was great.
The Equalizer.
The Equalizer is awesome. The Equalizer 2 sucked.
Yeah,
but it's like the old black version of John Wick. The Equalizer. I love Fallen.
Oh, that's an old one.
That's
yeah.
one of my favorite ones.
Mm-hmm.
I like what's the Taking of Pelham 123.
Mm-hmm.
It's got John Travolta in it. Amazing.
I think I'd venture to say John Travolta's last good role.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Scientology got to his ass, dude.
Yeah.
He's fucked up now.
Well,
he was
I
so
heard
good
I
for a
heard that
while.
he tried to get out, and when he tried to get out, that's when things started falling
Did
apart.
they kill his wife? Because you know she died.
Possible.
They're
I wouldn't put it past. Have you like dug deep into the Scientology, like
Only-
Going Clear and
Yeah.
all that
I watched
shit?
Going Clear, and I watched the
Leah Remini's show?
show, and I listened to the Leah Remini podcast
Mhm.
of the show, the whatever Aftermath or whatever. Yeah, that place is fucked up.
Like, is there a more damaging institution in America than?
Other than the United States government, no. No, it's pretty much the federal government
Mhm.
and Scientology.
Yeah.
And Scientology is the more scary one because they're on the DL. Right? Like, because we talk about the government because we got to pay our taxes and it's on the news. And there's,
Okay, taxes is a 3-letter word this week. Let's not ever
and there's
mention
like,
again.
you know, elections and whatever. It's out there in the open. People talk about the federal government and government paying taxes and doing whatever, right? Like, it's out there. People are conscious of that. Everybody is conscious that government exists. But Scientology, you could just live your life and never know about it, right? You could just be a person out in the world and never pay any fucking attention to the fucked upness.
Yeah, an organization that
like
ruins
a
families and
worldwide
people.
Cult. Like, everybody kind of knows who Charles Manson is, and like we all make references to drinking the Kool-Aid, and I think more people know about Jonestown than don't. Well, more people over the age of 30
Yeah.
than don't. But like, there's cult. Like, everybody kind of knows what a cult is, and like Waco and the Branch Davidians. Although you're really young,
No, I watched the show and I also
you don't
researched
like
it prior.
remember it, but like I remember it.
Coming from a really religious household, like the evil that happened at Waco really like got echoed in my halls as
it's
a kid.
culty,
Yeah.
right?
Just like the Mormons.
Can be. And like so Scientology, yeah, cult. Total cult. And really scary.
I think
Hey, look, we're going to have to make another list for another podcast because now we're like going dark. We should have gone dark at the beginning because now I've had like 4 beers and
now it's getting scary.
I could be like scared. I could start crying if we talk about like cults and Scientology, like keeping people away from their families and shit.
Well, we'll side that conversation,
List of conversations.
and we'll wrap up on. What are you excited about in the next 12 months? Because we just came out of the most, for the lack of a better word, the most locked down 12 months that we've ever had as a country. And it's definitely taken its toll in multiple ways that, the government wants to ignore. And it has also driven like growth in different ways that are good. Like, I mean, this podcast came back. I mean, granted, it came back because this podcast started right at the beginning of COVID. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, I was recording the first episode, and I got a notification on my phone that the NCAA wrestling championship had been canceled. Mm-hmm. And because that's what we were honestly talking about it.
Yeah.
And then I got the notification while we were talking about it. And so that was early March of last year, and it took a 12-month or a 10-month hiatus, and then came back towards the end of it because I think that's kind of how a lot of people. I think that's how a lot of people went through the last year. I think that there was a phase of like shutting down that like not only like localities shutting down, but like people kind of shut down their emotional responsiveness, their lives, and we're at that point where things are coming back to life. Like, I mean, especially like we live in Colorado, and like the trees are starting to get some bloom, even though we got snow yesterday
and this morning.
like, but the trees are starting to bloom again. people are feeling comfortable because they're able to get their vaccines and things like that. I'm not going to talk on that because we don't have enough time.
Topic for the next. I think, what am I excited about for the next 12 months? Well, first off, for sure, I am going to Hawaii. All you bitches can stay here. I don't give a shit. I'll go by myself if I have to. I don't think I'm going to, but I'm going to go to Hawaii.
Well, you're not going with the Lathams because Uncle Sam really stuck it to us the other day.
So I am going to go to Hawaii, and that's always been a bucket list thing. Obviously, there's an additional reason now to make that happen with maybe a little bit of urgency, but absolutely I'm going to go to Hawaii in the next 12 months. More like the next 6. But I hope that Zane, my brother, will be able to get a job that he enjoys more than the job that he has now. And I mean, I love him and I'm glad that he's been here, but I'm totally excited for him to live on his own.
Spread his wings.
As he is, right? He is sort of a loner and wants to live by himself and have alone time and whatever. So I would like for him to find a job that makes him feel more fulfilled and happy and not live in my house. I work for a company that just went through like a major merger. And so the last 12 months has had some additional complexity in my life because of COVID and a major world job life employer change. And I would say, I guess, other than that, I'm just like, I want to get back to normal. It was nice. Like, I went to Vegas last weekend. Nick and I went to Phoenix in January, and like people were flying, and traveling and being out. Like in Vegas, it was not the regular Vegas. We can put that on the list of things to talk about next time. It was not the regular Vegas, but it was nice to go, be somewhere warm and wear shorts and flip-flops and whatever. Also, there were no fucking mask police. There were no Karens. People were mostly wearing masks inside, but people were also still drinking and smoking and talking and gambling. And like, I didn't get accosted one time ever, and I didn't see anybody get accosted about wearing a mask. And I'm done with masks. I'm done with wearing a fucking mask. I'm done with talking about wearing fucking mask. I'm done with policing wearing masks. I'm done with managing people who have to police wearing masks. I'm done with COVID. Like, it's a virus. It's going to be around. Get vaccinated if you like. Don't get vaccinated if you don't like. Get educated, and let's take off the fucking mask and be like real people and interact with people.
Yeah.
Again.
So I said that the last question was going to be, what are you looking forward to in the next 12 months? But I'm actually going to backtrack real fast, and we'll finish on this for sure. What are some of the good that you've seen in the last 13 months?
Okay, I think you and I've talked about this like in a different, not being recorded context before, but I think employers' flexibility to let people work from home, it was possible. We all knew that it was possible, and they wouldn't do it because, you got to go to the office, right? You got to go to the office. Well, look, I'm sorry for the corporate real estate marketplace and industry, but you don't have to go to the office, and people like to work from home, and it turns out they work more and they work at a better quality if you let them, I'll start work at 6 a.m. before the kids get up, then I'll get the kids up at 7 and do the thing and take them to school, and then I'll work like that, and then I'll do that, right? You let them work. People can work more when they want to and where they want to, and not be dictated to. Like, you have to be in this fucking cube to do this job. You don't. So I like that. I like that it also applies to my job. It applies to your job, right? Like,
I mean, I've said it 1,000 times on this podcast. Like, I did not get affected by COVID. Like, it really, because I started working from home in December, like 100% in December of 2019. Yeah, like, that a whole 3, and it wasn't because like we heard what was going on in China. It was, our lease is up on this place, and we don't need it. We don't need a spot right away, so you're remote.
Yeah.
awesome. I took a pay cut for about a month and a half, and that's all.
Yeah.
Like, me and Mindy, super fucking lucky.
Yeah. So I think that's like one of the good things about the last 13 months, and that will not change, right? It will not change. It will not go back because companies don't have to pay this expensive rent.
Yeah, huge overhead.
Like,
huge overhead.
So, and people are happier, and employers have to give more trust and autonomy. They had to, and now they learned that they can.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, the shit that you thought might be done at 10 a.m. won't get done until 2 p.m., or you thought it was going to be done at 2 p.m., it'll get done at 10 p.m. Who gives a shit? It gets done.
Mm-hmm.
And people generally are like responsible and want and like their jobs, or at least want their income, and so they'll stay up late or they'll get up early or whatever. So I think that's one good thing about Corona. I think another good thing about Corona is, at least in some places or circles, and I think more now than 6 months ago or 10 months ago or whatever, people are being generally a little bit more responsible about their health.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
That's the one thing that I have taken away from it, is like, when I don't feel good from now on, I'm not going to leave the house. Like, because the only time that I got sick in the last 13 months, I got sick. I personally think I got Corona back in like November, December of 2019. I got so sick that I was supposed to come over here for New Year's Eve, and I was so sick I couldn't move. I was a fucking wreck, and so I didn't come over. And I feel like I got it. And the only time that I got sick after that was when I went to Arizona, and my allergies triggered a insane sinus infection. But from now on, like, if I have to leave the house when I'm sick, I'm going to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's kind of
Respectful of others.
Yeah, respectful of others. Like, you know, there's no need to, even if it is a cold, there's no need to expose other people to that, because colds fucking suck.
Yeah.
Like, they really do. Like, and I think that it's kind of changing the corporate mindset on, like, when people are sick as a whole, which is good. Like, if you're sick, fucking take your time.
Yeah.
Take your time.
And like,
come back when you're better.
By being more responsible about your health, I mean, like, did we really all not wash our hands a year ago? Like, were we really all just out there touching and licking and picking and wiping and not
I was
washing our hands? Like, so I think that's a good thing, for that people are more conscious about washing their hands, right? I'm not like a big fan of hand sanitizer. I know it has a place. Some people overuse that place, but I think
they ruin their flora.
Stay home if you're sick. And your employer should not give judgment on that.
Yeah.
Right? Stay home if you're sick. Wash your hands. And, oh, hey, guess what? Like, being overweight is bad for your health.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, since this all started, I've lost like 60 pounds.
Yeah. Like, I lost like 25 or 30 pounds. Like, being overweight is unhealthy. And that's not fat shaming. That's not judging.
Fat shaming's not a real thing. Like, as a resident fat person, fat shaming's not fucking real. Like, I don't. Fuck you.
I think that, but just like calling a duck, right? Being overweight is bad for your health, right? There are some things that genetically you can't control. You might be predisposition to, or born with diabetes or a heart condition or whatever. But we all know, like, it's science, being overweight is unhealthy. And more people in the last year are being more conscious of stay home when you're sick, wash your hands, maybe eat a little bit better.
Take exogenous vitamins.
Take some vitamins. Like, so people are maybe being, I think a lot of people are being more conscious about their personal health and their decisions that lead to health and longevity in their life. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good that maybe, I think this is the last thing I can come up with. Some of us, like you and Mindy and me and Nick, that have been financially pretty unimpacted by Corona, and like, cross your fingers or knock on wood or whatever, like, maybe we've been lucky. I don't think that it's luck. I think that it's
prepared.
A little bit about hard work and preparedness and that paying off, but there is some luck to it also. Mm-hmm. But like for us and for most of our friends, even coronavirus is not. Nope, we haven't lost our jobs, right? We didn't have to sell a car or go hungry or sell our house and move into an apartment or not have a house or whatever. And I think maybe it's not a bad thing for it to be called to attention, for us to all be grateful for not what we've been given, for what we've worked for.
Yeah.
Right? Because we've worked, right? Like you work, Mindy works, our friends work, my husband works, we work. And try to make smart decisions financially, and a little bit of luck and some good decisions
go a long way.
And then the really like the lockup to that is appreciating it, because the appreciation makes you make good decisions again, and that brings like, I'm totally believe in karma and luck and juju, like that brings you good juju. And then, but sometimes it's really hard to consciously appreciate your own efforts, your spouse's efforts, your own sacrifices in the past for whatever. Because I think a lot of the time, I know you and Mindy do this, you think about, oh my God, we spent like $100 last night on the pay-per-view, and you know, we did whatever, it'll be fine, we're almost done. We spent like $100 on the pay-per-view, and we ordered pizza, and we did the thing, and we spent like $200 or $300. And we wasted it, mm-hmm. right? Like but I think it's important that we like appreciate the times that we don't go out to eat, because hey, we've got plenty of food at home. We're good, right? We're gonna watch our weight. We've been exercising so hard, right? We'll eat what we've got in the fridge or whatever, right? Like, so those are my Corona things that I like. The rest of it can all fuck off.
Yeah, and I'll cap it off by coughing and saying, just, take care of yourself. Get your vitamin levels. Everybody that I know is probably vitamin D deficient. So implement vitamin D in your supplement intake. It will be very good for you. And I think the people that are talking about those things are what I have felt are like the best things to happen in the last 12 months. Is like, take care of yourself, and life isn't just about getting through it. It's about enjoying it. It's a lot easier to enjoy when you're taking care of yourself. Yep. And we'll go ahead and end it right there. You've been watching This Just In with me. And I don't think I ever introduced you, but really? Keely.
I need no introduction. I'm like Cher.
I think this is the first time that we said your name in the entire show. It's like been 3 fucking hours.
Oops.
So thank you, Keely, for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It won't be the last time. We have great conversations off mic, so we can have good ones on mic too. So
sounds good.
But we'll see you guys next time. Deuces.
Peace.